Hey, what's going on there? Dr. Jason with Elite Health. I want to talk to you today about keto or low carbohydrate diets there. And it's still something that's been around for a long time. It started back in the day with like the Atkins. You might have heard that if you're a little bit over 40 like me. You might have heard of Atkins before. And there's a lot of pros and cons, still controversial, right? So let's talk about it today. Get quickly into that. Some of the pros, okay, we'll get right into some of some of the upside of keto or going low carbohydrate. Insulin sensitivity. If you start to reduce total carbohydrates in your diet, you're going to secrete typically a little less insulin, and your body's going to be able to then have better glucose tolerance, or you're going to be able to get carbohydrates in the muscle and also other nutrients a little bit easier. That's a pro. It may reduce plant-based allergens. So majority of us may have allergies or sensitivities or intolerances to things in our environment, things that we eat. Well, most of those are plant-based, believe it or not. There's actually a lot fewer that are animal-based. So if you cut out mostly plants out of your diet, you're going to end up with fewer sensitivities. That is a lot of benefit for a lot of people. We've also got to make menu planning very simple. That's an easy one, right? Hey, we're not going to eat any sugar, almost no carbohydrates, very few vegetables. So what's left? We got meat and fats. So that makes it pretty simple. And you can find supportive recipes all over the place for that. You can also look at some literature that does reduce, and I've talked about this before, it does reduce many types of cancer as far as the tumor size and may help with stopping some proliferation of cancer. So that's a huge positive because you're reducing one of the main fuels for cancer cells, and that is glucose. They can use other metabolic pathways, but you're still taking away a major fuel source for many cancers. That's big. So that's a kind of a short list of some pros. Cons, you end up lowering total nutrient density of your food. Remember, our food is so much less nutrient dense than it was even 20 years ago, but especially 50, 100 years ago, which means you actually have to consume a higher volume of food in order to get the same nutrients, again, your parents and grandparents did. And so that's kind of a problem. You're going to reduce a lot of the foods where you get vitamins and minerals from. That's really big. Another one may be, it kind of varies by the person, but generally I've seen a lot of thyroid downregulation when we restrict carbohydrates. And there's a feedback mechanism it's a little more complicated, but basically tells our hypothalamus that we may be starving, we may be lacking enough nutrients, enough fuel, and it may start to slow our thyroid out of risk of starvation. Everybody responds a little differently, but that could be a possibility. And then constipation is a big one for a lot of people. Most patients I see have way more problems with not going enough than too often, okay? And so you're removing fiber from the diet, okay? And not always, but most of the time that's gonna be a problem. You're gonna get more constipated, which leads to more impacted, built up fecal matter. That's kind of an issue, right? Also, it may be limiting as far as a lifestyle goes. Wherever you go, now it's, more of these alternative type diets are supported, but not really wholesale, where you're traveling for long distances, you're out of the country. You may be a very busy person on the road a lot in business or traveling for your job, whatever is going on with you. If you're out and about a lot, it may be difficult to transfer that lifestyle wherever you go. You certainly can meal prep, it's just can be difficult. So that's another thing that's limiting. And I mentioned this before with talking about the all meat-based diet. You're gonna have to consume some really high quality foods. A lot of people go into keto or low carbohydrate thinking, I can just grab the cheapest, butter I get at Walmart, and then bologna or deli meat. I mean, technically you can, because that is, those aren't plants and those aren't carbohydrates. However, you're eating really low quality. And that's what I find a lot of people on keto or low carb, they're just not eating a high quality meat diet. So you're gonna have to look for pasture raised meats. You're gonna have to look for grass-fed beef, for example, wild-caught salmon. These can be $8, $10+ per pound to get quality meat. And that's really important. If you're gonna restrict your food groups, you've gotta then get quality. And by the way, it's gonna get more expensive. Typically your food bill is gonna be quite a bit higher than if you're just eating plant-based stuff, because vegetables are usually cheaper. So a couple things to keep in mind. Again, there's a place for keto, I believe. It just wholesale as far as the average patient I see and what's going on with them, I usually don't recommend it except for very specific situations based on the individual. I think all medicine should be individualized anyway, because that's how we get the best results. All right, hopefully that helps you out, and stay tuned for more.